Okay, so we're going to do a couple of practices of substitution. So this question says, for the following expressions, substitute in these values and find the answer. So these are our expressions here, all 6 of them, and these are our pronumerals and the value of them. So we need to substitute these values in. Now we know substitution means to replace the letter in the expression with the number that it's equal to. So in this case, we're going to find what does A equal, and we're going to replace it with that number. What does B equal? And we're going to replace it with that number. Now, a couple of things. We need to remember that 2B means 2 times B. It doesn't mean 2 plus B. We also need to remember that we have to square the number if we have a squared. Particularly in this one, we need to square the number first and then multiply by 2 for a term like 2c squared. If you remember our BODMAS, or rather BIDMAS as well, indexes, which is what we have, which is what our squareds and our cubes and things are. They are indexes. They come before multiplication. So we do our index before we do our multiplication. Okay, so let's substitute in A and B into this first question. So if A equals 1 and B equals 4, we're going to have 1 plus 2 times 4. Now using our order of operations, we do our 2 times 4 first. 2 times 4 is 8, so 1 plus 8, and our answer, we must put an equal sign, our answer is 9. Let's do this one down here. 2 times A minus C. Well, A is 1, so 2 times 1 minus C. Now C is negative 2, so we're minusing negative 2 like that. So minus negative 2, a negative and a negative make a positive. So 2 times 1 is 2, 2 plus 2. Okay? Minusing a negative number is the same as adding a number. 2 plus 2, our answer is 4. Let's have a look at this one up here. A squared. A squared. So A squared is 1 squared. That's going to be a simple one to do. And 2 times C squared. Well, let's write it like this. 2 times C squared. I'm going to put the C in brackets just so we know it's minus 2 squared. Now, minus 2 squared. Minus 2 squared means minus 2 times minus 2. And we know that if we multiply a negative number by a negative number, we'll get a positive number. Let's write this out fully. 1 squared is 1 times 1 plus 2 times, and negative 2 squared is negative 2 times negative 2. Now the reason I write them in brackets like this is because when we have a negative term here and a times, sometimes they can get mixed up and you forget whether you're subtracting or you're multiplying. So if I keep them in a bracket, then I know I'm multiplying, they're just negative numbers. Okay, 1 times 1 is 1 plus 2 times negative 2. Well, that's going to be negative 4, and times negative 2 again. Negative 4 times negative 2 is going to be positive 8. So once again, our answer, 1 plus 8 is 9, very similar to our first one. Let's do this one down here. The square root of B squared. Now, straight away, we can get rid of something. We can simplify this one because we know that square root and squared are inverse operations. And so the square root of B squared, well, our squared and our square root can just cancel out, and we're answering what is B. Well, substituting in our value for B, 4, then we can just simply do this. Now, if we didn't recognize our squared and our square root being inverse operations to start off with, let's do it the long way. The square root of B squared, we'll do it over here. Well, the first part we do is this part inside the square root sign. We do the B squared. Well, what's B squared? B squared is B times B, and B is 4. So we have the square root of 4 times 4. Well, 4 times 4 is 16, and the square root of 16 is 4. So our answer is the same either way, but this one is going to save you a bunch of time if you recognize that square root and squared are inverse operations and therefore cancel each other out. Okay, let's head up over to this side. 5c plus a plus 2b. Now, I know I'm speaking quite quickly, boys, So if you're having trouble following along at the speed I'm going, make sure you rewind the video just a bit and watch it multiple times to make sure you've got every bit of detail, okay? This is what the video allows us to do. So 5c plus a plus 2b. Well, what does c equal? Minus 2. 5 times, once again, I'm just putting it in brackets to keep our numbers separate, plus a. A is equal to 1, we're told, plus 1, and 2 times b, 2b, and b is 4, so 2 times 4. BODMAS or BIDMAS, we must do our multiplications first. So we must do this part and this part before we do our additions in between. 5 times negative 2 is going to be negative 10. 2 times 4 is going to be 8. Okay, so now we have negative 10 plus 1. Well, if I'm at minus 10 and I add 1, I increase by 1, I'm going to be at negative 9. And we still got our plus 8 there to deal with. Now, once again, I'm at negative 9 and I increase my value by 8. Let's draw a number line. Okay, we'll do 0 up here, 1, 2, 3. We got minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, minus 7. Should have made this a little bit longer. Minus 8, minus 9. Okay, so 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, minus 8, minus 9. So I'm told I'm at minus 9 and I'm increasing by 8. So I have to make 8 jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Negative 1 is our answer. I'll write it over here. Negative 1. Minus 9 increased by 8 is negative 1. Okay. Now our last one here, it's a little bit longer and involves all our terms, and we've got a squared in there as well. Now our c and our c squared, they're not like terms, so we can't combine them together. We have to treat them separately. Well, what's c? It's minus 2. Let's start substituting in our values. Substitute minus 2 for c. Substitute 4 for b, substitute 1 for a, and substitute our c being minus 2. Remember, this was the same as our other one over here. We had 2c squared. So it's 2 times minus 2 squared. Okay, minus 2 squared, we know, is positive 4 because it's minus 2 times minus 2, which is going to be a negative times a negative, which is a positive value. So we have minus 2, minus 4, minus 1, plus 2 times positive 4. So this part here, I've just turned into our positive 4. Now it'll look a little bit easier. Once again, BODMAS or BIDMAS, we need to do our multiplication before we do our addition and subtraction. And we've done our index, which was even earlier, so we're covered on that. 2 times 4 is 8. Let's write it out again. Minus 2, minus 4, minus 1, and 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, negative 2. So we're at negative 2. We're taking away 4 more. So if I've got negative 2, I take away 1, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. Negative 6 is negative 2 and negative 4 combined. Okay, negative 6, take away 1 more, it's going to be negative 7. And negative 7 plus 8 is going to be positive 1. Now, if you choose to do these steps in one step, then you won't be penalised for that because it's all addition and subtraction. I've written it out at each step, combining these two to get 6, those two to get 7, and then finally to get our 1, just to show you a little bit of the individual steps there for those of you who aren't following along so well. Okay.